Hi, folks. I'm here with Timmy Hayes, founder of Nica Natadores. Timmy, thanks so much for being with us today as our special guest on FM Influencers.
Awesome. I'm stoked to talk to you and show the crowd what it is to live in a third world country and promote the sport of swimming and get kids interested in a brand new culture. So it's going to be an exciting conversation, and thanks for having me.
I've heard so much amazing things that you do. We've got to hear more about this. So, you've got a great story. Let's jump right in. Tell us about Nica and what it's all about and why you're doing this.
So Nicanadores, literally the definition or the mission is to empower kids in underserved communities through the sport of swimming and academic advancement. So what we do is really the quintessential concept of what it means to be a scholar athlete or a student athlete. We offer kids scholarships to study at private schools based off of their participation and work ethic within the parameters of our swim team. So really what we're doing is youth development and using the sport of swimming as a vehicle to form character, offer after school activities, provide some discipline, and really just hope kids can dream and aspire for more. And kids that come from underserved communities that really don't have that influence in their lives where American kids are raised thinking that anything's possible and they can become doctors and lawyers and everything they want, but that kind of upbringing doesn't really exist here. So we're promoting that. We're promoting good, solid education, mostly with Christian background, and then we're also supporting the sport of swimming and the healthy lifestyle it is, but also competition, teamwork, all the awesome values that the sport offers. So that's what Nica Natadores is. It's a really cool community. We have over 100 kids. We have a lot more than 100 now. We've opened up our Learn to Swim program a lot this year. That was one of our year goals for 2023 was to grow our Learn to Swim program. In our novice group, which compete like once a month, and they practice between 3 and 4 times a week. And then our competitive group, which practices between 6 to 8 times a week and compete 2 or 3 times a month. We have probably 80 kids, and then we have probably another 60 kids in our Learn to Swim program. So it's a big organization. I have a main assistant, and a big aspect of our program as well is the older kids volunteer to give the younger kids swim classes. So all of our older kids, they kind of log community service hours every week, giving 6 to 8 year olds or 4 to 6 year olds learn to swim classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, in addition to their training in dryland. And just we do a lot of team bonding activities. For example, last night we went to the Nicaragua versus Puerto Rico baseball game, which was an awesome team activity. I just reached out to some buddies I swam with at University of Virginia, and I asked if they could donate some money for tickets and stuff. We took 35 kids and some team parents to the Nicaragua versus Puerto Rico baseball game. So we do beach trips. We try to do a lot of team bonding and community service. And Nika Nads is, it's just like everything you'd imagine and kind of a club swim team, but it's pretty much free. We offer classes. We charge a symbolic membership, which is about $1 a month that kids have to pay. And that's really just so they have some sort of buy-in. And then we also ask a lot of the kids to help with pool maintenance. Some of the older kids know how to drive the van so they can take kids to and from school. We do fundraisers like within the community, right, where parents will make food and sell food, kind of like a bake sale stuff to raise money for the program. But it's your typical swim club, but it's in Nicaragua on the outskirts of the biggest city in Nicaragua, which is Managua, in a small community called Chiquilistagua, which is very rural, but 10 or 15-minute bus ride away is the urban center of Managua. So, you go outside on the road and there's cows crossing the street or goats wandering around. But there are also communities of 15 or 20 little shacks that families of 15 live in. So it's a rural sprawl among urban suburban feel, um, but we're offering a really valuable resource for young kids, kids that want to buy in. That's the most important part. We don't really. I have a phrase that I'm not going to fight with anybody about coming or training hard. You're here, be here, and be all in. But if you're not going to be all in, go home. That's my whole motto. So the kids know that, and I've got kids in the program that have been here about 10 years, and I've got kids in the program that have been here for a year. But they all know that to be true. That if you're going to be here, give it your all, whether it's dry land or practice. But that's kind of the culture we're all about. So I hope that explains everything about what Nika Nads is.
That's an amazing bright light in their lives. I can't imagine the hope and the abilities that you're showing them and capabilities that they can, move forward in life, uh, create hopefully an atmosphere and environment that will continue on for generations down the road. I think we're all, I'm not even going to say I think, we are all really proud and amazed at what you're doing for the
Thank you.
community. And so tell us, how did you come up with this incredible concept?
Um, well, first and foremost, both my parents are educators. My dad was actually principal, my mom was a teacher. And so education has always been a pretty strong value in my life. I wouldn't have gone to college. I swam at University of Virginia, but I wasn't really um, a great. I didn't love school. I always worked with my hands, and I liked the aspect of doing things rather than sitting in the classroom and learning. But I did value education, and I did kind of use my ability to swim to get into the best school possible that I was looking at. I went on recruiting trips to Tennessee and Minnesota and Florida State and some really great schools, but Virginia was the best academic school. Even though they offered me the least amount of money than any school, I wanted to go there because it was prestigious academic wise. And so when when I was 23, I didn't want to get a big boy job, and I'd been here on a surf trip, and I started looking at opportunities abroad, and I got an email from one of my advisors from University of Virginia. I was a Spanish major at UVA, and one of my advisors had reached out about a volunteer program in Managua. It was called Mana Project International, and so I came down and I started volunteering for Mana, and that was working in public schools where we were doing like reform classes for kids that had dropped out but were studying in the afternoon. Like, so we would give math and lit classes to kids that were like 16 or 17 but read on like a 8-year-old or 9-year-old level, or kids that were 16 or 17-year-old but couldn't do basic addition or subtraction. So we were volunteering in that scope. But while I was at the public school, I met a bunch of kids that you just bond with. You're this foreigner, you're a gringo in a different culture, and little Nika kids look up to you like you're just an alien with a big smile. And I was living at a house with a pool, and so I invited a couple kids over to learn how to swim. And like, this is something that nowadays in the States like would never happen. You're not gonna trust your 10-year-old kid to go to some foreigner's house to learn to swim. But yeah, like 7 kids showed up, and I was living in a house with a little kidney bean shaped backyard pool. And these kids didn't have suits, they didn't have goggles, they were swimming in jeans and t-shirts, and it wasn't really swimming, you know what I mean? It was like a pool party. They were just floating on floats and just struggling to try to keep their head above water. It was more like a pool party. But I had the idea that it could be something, you know what I mean? This could be an awesome opportunity to maybe create a swim team and get these kids that were studying the public school with very little resources a little bit more help if I fundraise for scholarships to send them to private school. So I reached out to my roommate from UVA, Scott Robinson, and my childhood friend, Kyle Shoemaker, who swam at Clemson. And I said, look, this is an idea. This was in January of 2014. I said, we're living at this house with a pool. We can start giving these kids some classes, and then maybe next year raise some money so that they could go to better schools, get them out of the public schools. At the same time, I was doing just like odd jobs with a missionary named Holly. and he had been building a pool, and so I jumped in on the pool project, just helping cut rebar and pour concrete. And then we started help fundraising for the termination of the pool, and we started using the pool once it was built. And then about a year later, Holly left, and we took over the pool. And the program has grown. I mean, we've grown from 7 kids in a kidney bean shaped backyard pool to this 3-lane 60-yard pool, and now we're building a 6-lane 25-meter pool with two 50-meter lanes, about a mile away from here, in the same community. So it's an awesome story. It's a story that I don't appreciate every day. I kind of get bogged down in what it is that I'm very achievement oriented, and when you have that perspective, it's you can forget what you've done, and so when I do look back in conversations like this, and I think, man, we started with 7 kids in a bean-shaped pool, that does bring a source of pride, especially looking at the generational change I see in a lot of the kids that have gone through the program. We have older kids now that are working for Amazon. We have a kid that is studying medicine at Augustana College in Illinois, and he's actually at a research internship this month with the University of Pittsburgh. So we've sent kids abroad. We've put kids in local colleges here. Kids have gone on to do pretty cool stuff with jobs and work. And so there's been a lot of success in the program, but I always look at it like there's a lot left to be done, I guess.
I think there's more than a lifetime's work to be done, but you know what? You're doing an amazing job. So
Thank
what
you.
are some of the challenges that you faced and you've been able to overcome some and others there are still challenges there?
Yeah. The challenges are kind of like fourfold. You can look at challenges in terms of like performance, right? So when I look at the challenges for getting kids to swim on the level of what it is in the States, you have to look at the challenges they have in their diet, right? Like when they're eating is white rice and drinking soda, that's a huge challenge because they have a lack of protein in their diet just because of the cost. That's a challenge. When you look at the challenge of the government, I mean, the government doesn't make stuff easy on you here. We're a registered 501c3 in the States, and here we're actually a for-profit business because this government has kind of a war on NGOs and nonprofits. So they don't make it easy on nonprofits here. Fundraising is always a challenge. We don't we don't really make any profit from on the ground operations. We charge a symbolic cost for kids to be a part of the program, which is about $1 a month. But we have to think about we spend about $60,000 to $70,000 a year in scholarships alone. And you got to remember, we have a kid studying in the States at a university in the States. I don't pay myself a lot, but I have a small salary. We have an English teacher that gets a salary. We have an assistant that gets a salary. We have to buy pool chemicals. We have a lot of budgetary needs. So funding is always a challenge. And a lot of times, when you reach out to teams in the States, they have the same challenges. They got to think about renting pool space and they got to think about paying coaches. So it's like, why would they fundraise for a program halfway across the world when they have the same challenges and they need to fundraise to keep the money in house for their own team? Say it's in Bethlehem or North Carolina or Florida. Challenges such as it's really difficult when a young boy becomes of working age here, 16, 17 years old, to convince him to keep swimming or to keep studying because a young boy that age is capable of making money. And so families that are a little less cultured or a little less educated want that kid to go pick beans or plant watermelons and bring home money than swim and study without the vision looking forward that if he does study, if he does get an education, maybe he could work at a call center and get $500 a month, or work in a marketing firm, or become a lawyer, something like that. They live in the immediate, right? They live in the now. So, bringing home $5 a day helps put food on the table, when swimming and studying doesn't really help put food on the table at all. That's another challenge. We had we had a lot of volunteers come every year, and then COVID hit. That was a challenge. We had a very positive image of the country, and then in 2018 there was some political protests, and you know, not violence, but there was just like a little uproar rebellion kind of thing in the streets. So that kind of brought the morale of the country, or like, the U.S. State Department put kind of like travel advisories on Nicaragua, which was a challenge to get volunteers down here. It's really hard to describe our story to people who have absolutely no concept or have ever been out of the States. You know what I mean? Like, so we really love it when people come down to visit. When people come and they do homestays. Like, we just had a volunteer here last month. He was our first summer intern of the month, and he spent a week living in some of the kids' houses. Like, he spent 3 nights with a kid named Josue, and he spent 2 nights with a kid named Angel. And so those volunteers and those young kids that have that experience, and they go back to college and they tell their friends, this was a sick experience. Like, I lived with these kids in their house for 3 days, and they only have running water from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And, they only got one light, and they got no Wi-Fi, and their parents sacrificed to pay 50 cents for internet for the day. Those are things that, like, I wish more people could experience. And it's a challenge convincing people to come down here, or convincing people that the program is worthy of funding, or convincing parents that their kids should stay in the program and study and swim. So there are a ton of challenges. We've overcome a lot of challenges. We've succeeded in overcoming the funding challenge. I mean, we've been operating our scholarship program for 9 years. Next year it'll be 10. We've maintained a pretty clean pool. It hasn't had a hole in it yet. We haven't lost any water. So we've overcome a lot of the challenges, but we're not at the level of like name recognition or program recognition that I'd wish we would be at. You know what I mean? I wish Nicanads could be, a partner team of, at least 3 or 4 teams in every LSC in the States. That would be awesome. I wish we would have that kind of operational, recognition where teams found it rewarding supporting our program. I haven't done a good enough job at that, but that's a challenge I hope to overcome. And interviews like this, getting our name out there, are really helpful in doing that.
Well, you're certainly doing tremendous and putting a tremendous effort. So how can people get involved and support your efforts? If they are interested in trying to either donate or possibly, join you for doing some work for you guys, how do they do that?
Yeah. So we have a website, we have Instagram, and we have Facebook. Our website is nicanadores.org, NICANADADORES.org. You can also just go to Google and type in Nica Nads. Nica Nadadores is short for Nica Swimmers. Nicaraguans are very proud to be Nica. They say, like, yo soy Nica, de gracias a Dios, like, thank God I'm Nicaraguan. So Nica Nads is like Nica Swimmers. If you go to Google, type in Nica Nads, Instagram Nica Nadadores, and Facebook Nica Nadadores. And then on the website's my email, timmy.hayes@nicanadadores.org. You can reach out to me personally. I'll even you can shoot me a WhatsApp or an iMessage. I'm always interested in helping people find their way down here to volunteer, or helping people find ways to volunteer in the States. Specifically in this summer, I would love to offer more virtual internships. So I'd love to get high school kids that don't have a summer job yet, or have volunteer requirements through their school, and try to get them to help us give out T-shirts or give out caps or bracelets, or help do small fundraisers within their team membership. So I'd love to have a group of kids do virtual internships from abroad. We also love taking Nika kids to the States. We've done 3 trips so far with a group of kids. We've taken 5 kids to New York and New Jersey. And then we've taken kids to New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. And then right before the pandemic, we had a team, North Coast Aquatics in San Diego. They were set to host 5 kids, and then the pandemic hit and we didn't actually get to go. So we're always looking for teams to volunteer to host Nicaraguans. We do an exchange trip where teams from the States can contact us and say, hey, we'd love to host 5 kids. We'll take care of the visa requirements to get the kids travel prepared, airline. And then it's awesome because at least in Pennsylvania, the Nicaraguan kids had been able to go to public school with some of the kids from the States. So it's this awesome cultural exchange on both sides. That's another way you can get involved. You can always do a fundraiser, have like a summer barbecue, and just do a pass the hat kind of deal. Try to raise $100 for a program. And there's probably millions of things that I'm not thinking of. But if you go on our website or any social media, you can reach me via email and figure out ways to help the program, or ways you can come visit, or ways you can host. And if you're interested in making a more sizable donation for our new pool, we're still a little bit short of our fundraising goal. So if you are interested in making that kind of an impact for infrastructure, or capital construction campaign, that's another huge need in our program as well.
Absolutely fantastic. Timmy Hayes, thank you so much for being with us and for the amazing work you're doing to build our swimming community. It's phenomenal, and to expand. We hope that you'll come back and update us on the tremendous success of your program there.
I for
we
sure
love
will.
what you're doing. Okay.
Thank you, and I commend you as well. You should be proud of the community you're building at Fluid Mechanics too.
Yeah, we love it. It's a great community here for swimming.
Well, you got to get down here too. We'll do an FM volunteer trip.
I would love it. I would love it. That sounds great. All right. Thanks a lot.
All right, brother. Good. Have a good day.
You too.